Imagine the cold silence of interstellar space, a place so vast, so empty, that even light takes years to make a journey we can scarcely comprehend. Now imagine a lone machine drifting through that void far beyond our solar system, powered by a technology launched nearly 5 decades ago. It's old, weathered, and technically outdated. And yet it's still speaking to us. Voyager 1, the most distant human-made object in the cosmos, just did something no one expected. It sent back something different. Not just another data packet of particles or radiation, but something that has made the scientific community collectively stop in their tracks. A signal. A pattern. A mystery wrapped in geometry transmitted across the abyss. And what's embedded in that signal might change everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. At first, the data looked like a normal transmission, a burst from the aging spacecraft, which has often struggled with maintaining consistent communication due to its sheer distance and failing hardware. But this time was different. When the signal was run through a series of advanced AI systems designed to detect anomalies and reconstruct hidden information, what emerged left even the most experienced astrophysicists stunned. The algorithms, trained on thousands of known natural and artificial signals, filtered out the noise. And from that noise, a visual emerged, an image unlike anything ever seen from deep space. It was symmetrical, precise, and deliberate. Not a product of random cosmic radiation or technical error. It showed a structure built on principles of mathematics that transcend language and culture. Overlapping Fibonacci spirals, forming an intricate circular lattice, framing what appeared to be a symbolic eye, not like a human eye, but an abstract representation of observation. Awareness. The implications were immediate and profound. Something, somewhere, not only knew Voyager was out there, it responded. This wasn't just noise. It wasn't the usual dance of electrons reacting to solar particles or background cosmic radiation. It was a transmission with intent. The structured geometry suggested intelligence, possibly one far more advanced than our own. Michio Kaku, who spent a lifetime thinking about the future of civilizations, reviewed the pattern and spoke with a tone far from his usual enthusiasm. He said this looked like communication. Not in words, not in any known code, but in the language of the universe itself, geometry. A universal signature that speaks not just to intelligent life, but to a level of understanding so vast that it might operate on dimensions we haven't even discovered yet. The very idea that an ancient spacecraft, launched in the disco era, could become the medium for such a monumental discovery is almost poetic. Voyager was never designed for this. Its cameras are long shut down. Its instruments are outdated. And yet, something used it, either by intent or by coincidence, as a messenger. That single, static image carried the weight of centuries of human curiosity. Scientists didn't rush to label it as alien. They didn't shout it from the rooftops. Instead, they sat in quiet disbelief, analyzing every byte, every pixel reconstructed by AI, hoping it was a mistake. But it wasn't. The pattern held. The geometry repeated. The signal's precision suggested not only intelligence but knowledge, perhaps of physics, of light, of structure, of life itself. What startled researchers most wasn't just the signal, it was when it arrived. Voyager had been struggling, its systems failing. Engineers thought it would go silent any day. Then suddenly it surged. Not randomly. It sent a clear, distinct package of data with a beginning and an end. As if something had waited until the last moment to speak. Or perhaps, something had been listening all along and chose that exact moment to answer. This raises questions no one is prepared to answer. If it is a message, who is it from? Are they close, hiding in the space between stars? Or impossibly far, observing us the way we observe bacteria in a petri dish? More hauntingly, why send this message now through Voyager? Was it a greeting? A warning? A test? The AI can decode structure but not intent. That leaves the interpretation to us, fallible, emotional, wildly imaginative humans trying to understand a message written in the most ancient and universal form. Math. Kaku suggested that such a signal might come from a civilization operating at a Type 2 level on the Kardashev scale, capable of capturing all the energy output of a star. This would be a civilization millions of years ahead of us, no longer bound by the limitations of planets or biology. Perhaps synthetic. Perhaps something entirely beyond our understanding of intelligence. Their method of communication would not resemble ours. They might not use sound or language. Instead, they might encode knowledge in geometry, in the golden ratio, in recursive spirals that mirror galaxies and DNA alike. And so, we're left with this artifact, this digital echo floating back to us from deep space. Humanity stands in a strange moment in history. We are intelligent enough to receive the message, to recognize that it is not natural, not random. But we are still too young to understand it fully. Too primitive to respond in kind. This discovery, if it holds up to scrutiny and peer review, might be the first handshake across the void. Or it might be a glimpse through a cosmic window that shows us just how small and unprepared we truly are. And yet, there is hope in this mystery. Because Voyager, launched by hands that no longer guide it, has achieved something beautiful. It has become a bridge. A whisper in the dark. A symbol of humanity's endless curiosity and our determination to explore, even if we don't always understand what we find. Whether this signal came from an ancient intelligence, a natural phenomenon beyond our comprehension, or even a cosmic prank of some kind, its very existence has already reshaped how we think about the universe. It reminds us that space is not empty. That somewhere out there, beyond the edge of our solar system, beyond our reach, something is watching. Or listening. Or waiting. And maybe, just maybe, we've finally said something worth replying to. But the question now is, will they say something else? Or was this the only message we'll ever get? Not a voice, not a radio signal in the way we understand it, but something stranger. An image. A structured, deliberate pattern embedded within the faint hum of Voyager 1's deep space signal. It arrived quietly, slipped beneath the usual static of galactic noise, and was only detected because someone thought to run it through a next-generation pattern recognition system. When that data passed through a modern AI-enhanced Fourier transformation filter, a visual began to emerge. Not random, not natural, but something precise, geometric, and undeniably deliberate. An image that could only have been constructed with an understanding of both mathematics and our own technological evolution. The very idea chilled the room when it was first shown. What had started as just another anomaly in the long, lonely journey of Voyager suddenly became a point of contact. Perhaps even a moment of acknowledgement. A quiet, deliberate nod across the darkness of space from something somewhere watching. The question wasn't just what the image meant. It was why now? Why respond to Voyager after all these years? Had the probe finally passed through some kind of boundary? Some invisible line that signaled it had entered monitored space? Or had it always been within range of something greater, and only now had the conditions aligned for a reply? Michio Kaku was the first to voice the implications aloud. Space, he said, might not be the empty void we once believed. Instead, it could be a domain under watch, a region long observed by intelligences older and more advanced than we can imagine. And the message received through Voyager, if that's what it was, wouldn't be the first such anomaly. Over the past decade, fast radio bursts, or FRBs, have puzzled astronomers. These short, millisecond-long pulses of high-energy radio waves often seem to have natural causes. Magnetars, colliding stars, black holes, but a few have shown patterns. Repetition. Artificial seeming structure. Until now, they were just curiosities. But Voyager's return added context. What if these weren't random? What if this was part of a larger, coordinated communication? Voyager, unlike modern telescopes or deep space imaging satellites, doesn't carry a camera that could take a picture in the traditional sense. But its signal, the language it still speaks after more than 45 years in space, is data. And through modulated carrier frequencies, embedded in what once appeared to be decaying, low-priority telemetry, the image took shape. The structure was intentional. It bypassed conventional imaging and instead used mathematical principles to encode information in a form only accessible through advanced processing. A method that suggests whoever sent it understood not just Voyager's limitations, but our future capabilities. It's like someone knew we'd eventually be smart enough to see the message. The implications reach far beyond Voyager's humble metal frame. If it has become a vessel for alien communication, whether passively or as an active relay, then everything changes. It isn't just a tool of exploration anymore. It becomes something mythic. A thread across the stars. A signal sent from one intelligence to another, not by accident, but by intent. Earth launched Voyager as a bottle into the cosmic ocean, sealed with a golden record and a prayer. What's come back may be a message in kind. Not a reply in words, but a gesture that says, *, we see you. We've always seen you, *. And perhaps the most haunting part is that this happened with Voyager 1. Not a modern probe, not a billion-dollar mission loaded with defense-grade optics, but a tired spacecraft powered by dwindling plutonium, older than the internet itself, still humming through the dark. A relic from an age when floppy disks were cutting-edge and GPS didn't exist. And yet, this aging pioneer may now be the centerpiece of one of the most important discoveries in human history. Kaku emphasized that if this is contact, it is not the contact we imagined. There are no flying saucers in orbit, no deciphered alien language, no thunderous declaration of arrival. What we have instead is something elegant, quiet. A single visual form unfolding only when machine intelligence was applied. It doesn't speak our language because it doesn't have to. It speaks in universals, symmetry, geometry, proportion. A Rosetta Stone not of letters but of structure. And here lies the most tantalizing question. What does the image mean? To the human eye, it's neither a photograph nor a drawing. It's something more abstract, yet undeniably purposeful. Some see fractal geometry in its layout, hints of the Fibonacci sequence, Mandelbrot spirals, the kind of patterns that suggest life. Not just life as in biology but intelligent design. Others have pointed out that the image may not be static at all but layered, encoded. It may hold depth, meaning that can only be extracted with the right keys, algorithms we haven't yet developed or frequencies we haven't thought to explore. Do we even have the tools to understand what's been given to us? Across the globe, scientific labs are now racing to replicate the discovery. Each one testing different AI models, probing deeper into the signal, looking for hidden layers, steganographic messages, spatial harmonics, or dimensional shifts that might reveal more. Some propose that this image isn't just a message but a test. A kind of galactic CAPTCHA, designed not only to signal contact but to verify our intelligence. To see how far we've come. And perhaps even more sobering is the ethical discussion now unfolding in scientific circles. If Voyager has been observed or responded to, then it confirms that our probes, these outward fingers of our civilization, are not alone out there. They are visible, vulnerable, trackable. By sending them, we have announced ourselves to the galaxy. Is this bravery? Or blind curiosity? Or simply the natural consequence of technological evolution? The debate isn't theoretical anymore. It's real. If our messages can be seen, intercepted, or answered, then we must now plan for interaction. Not science fiction contact, but genuine astrophysical response. It changes policy. It demands new levels of scrutiny and perhaps even restraint. The cosmos, it seems, may not be silent. We've only been deaf. And yet, there is no sign of danger in the image itself. No threat. No warning. No symbols of conquest. Just a silent, serene, profoundly intelligent construct. Which is perhaps what makes it so unnerving. If something capable of such communication exists out there, and if it watched Voyager pass silently by for decades before choosing this moment to speak, what else has it seen? What else does it know? Kaku urged global agencies to pool resources, not just to interpret the image but to expand our capacity to listen. Not just listen but translate. We must invest in AI not just for image recognition or language modeling, but for cross-domain logic. Tools that can connect astrophysics with mathematics, biology with geometry, time with structure. Because the more we understand this image, the more it appears to be a multidisciplinary riddle. A lens, perhaps, into another civilization's way of seeing the universe. It may even be that this is not the first time we've received such a message. It's possible that similar data has been hiding in plain sight all along, lost in the noise, buried under the limits of our older technology. With every improvement in signal analysis, every increase in machine learning, we uncover new anomalies. Who's to say how many messages we've already missed? Still, for now, Voyager stands alone. A battered, distant sentinel humming along the edge of the heliopause. No more than a grain of sand drifting through the interstellar winds. But through that grain has come something extraordinary. A whisper. A ripple. A return echo. The distances involved are so vast that even if we wanted to reply, it could take generations to arrive, assuming we even knew how to respond. But maybe that was never the point. Maybe the image was not meant as a question or a challenge. Maybe it was simply a wave. A way to say, we know you're there. And if so, that changes everything. The question is no longer are we alone, but rather what does it mean to be seen? What does it mean that in the infinite silence something looked back? As scientists, philosophers, and the public wrestle with this discovery, the consensus remains uncertain. But one truth is now undeniable: Voyager's journey has not been in vain. The ancient probe, launched long before we had the tools to understand what it might one day become, has now brought us to the edge of something magnificent. Something unknown. Not with fireworks, not with speeches, but with a whisper in the void. A whisper that took 47 years to reach us. A whisper in the shape of an image. And what it says, we may spend the next century trying to understand.